Annabelle, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
It's a great time. I mean, your life must be going crazy with the whole fallout and everything.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's been overwhelmingly positive to see that everyone is enjoying the show as much as we hoped they would. I mean, you spend, months and years working on this project and hoping that the jokes hit and hoping that the fans of the game appreciate all of the world making and the effort we put in. And it's been just, yeah, like it really has warmed my heart just to see everyone enjoy it.
And I believe
Truly.
it was the number two highest rating show on Prime Video, from what
Yeah,
I
no,
from
I
what I
actually was
read.
just reading an article saying it's number one in the US ever. So
Okay.
it's highest rated, highest views in the US. But yeah, like second globally, it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. I mean,
Amazing.
it's
That's
been,
great. That's great for you
yeah.
guys.
No, it's exceeded our expectations. And of course we knew it was special when we were making it. But you're so biased. You spend
Mhm.
so much time working on a project and I loved every bit of the process. Um, but it is pretty cool to see the world like it too.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump more into the show in a little while, but like when I have guests on, I like to know more about them too. Like, your journey to the entertainment industry. I mentioned earlier, I'm from Massachusetts, you went to Harvard, but let's start from the beginning. Like, what caught you, like what made you get into the industry?
Oh gosh.
What made you fall in love with acting?
The beginning. Well, I see I was really good at playing pretend on the playground. No, but truly I began just like any other kid, right? I did the plays. I was a ballet dancer growing up, so I was always interested in the arts and in performing and I was also a very realistic kid. I was for a long time I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an OBGYN and and eventually I had enough folks tell me, hey, you're really good on stage. You should consider doing this professionally. And I had just really, really supportive community and family the whole way through. And um, I I decided to not do the BFA conservatory route because I still just wanted to continue to learn about everything that makes us human. So I studied psychology and theater while I was at Harvard, and then I moved to New York, and it was a total crapshoot, right? Like every other actor, very often the journey is rocky, and you show up in New York City or LA if that's where you go, and you just start from the bottom and you work your way up. And Fallout has just been the highlight of my career so far, for sure.
So now, why New York instead of LA?
Yeah. Well, I've always loved New York City. I think New York has an energy for artists and a community that's just different from LA.
Hmm.
Uh, to me, I actually moved to New York. I wanted to be a Broadway star.
Okay.
And when I first moved to the city, I didn't really have any connections, and Harvard doesn't give you a showcase like a lot of other theater programs would. So I had sort of someone who had seen me in a show while I was in college connect me to my representation. And they've sort of encouraged me towards TV and film. And so that's sort of where my journey has taken me. But I hope someday to be able to go back and do some theater as well. Yeah.
Amazing. What about
Yeah.
your time at Harvard? How was it living in Boston for all? I mean, did you do 4 years there, or did you do six? What did
I
you
did
do?
I did all 4 years. Um, they say the most successful Harvard kids don't make it all 4 years because they're already out and starting their Fortune 500 company. No, so I grew up in North Carolina and Virginia, so sort of a Southerner at heart. Uh, and I was always like, I'm going to go north for school. I felt like I could handle it. And then I moved to Boston, and my first day in Boston, I was like making eye contact with people on the street and saying like, "Hey, good morning," and people thought I was insane. Like truly, they were like, "You people don't do that here. Like you probably
Right.
should. You're gonna get some unwanted attention." I was like, "Oh my god!" But besides the first week, I loved living in Boston. Shout out to Mass. It's so great. It's where I met like some of my best friends for life. I still go up and visit anytime I can, and nothing beats a New England autumnal day, truly. And yeah, it was the right place for me. I really needed to leave sort of like small town North Carolina and Virginia, and it was a great place for me to grow. And I just did, you know, while I was at Harvard, um I studied psychology and I did theater because I wanted to study what it meant to be a human being from all of the angles, right? Because I think to be
Mm,
a good actor, you have to know about humanity and in a deeper way than just, you know, I know what faces to make on camera when. It's more than that. It's about developing empathy. And I found studying characters from a scientific and an artistic and an empathic view um, to be really, really helpful. And I was also going to school with some of the smartest people I've ever met, and they challenged me. And um, yeah, it's a great place to push yourself. That is for sure. The imposter syndrome was real every single day of my life. But then I started to realize that everyone that was there was feeling the same thing I was. And
right.
being around a bunch of nerds is just, yeah, pretty much my favorite place. So it was
There
pretty
you
cool.
go.
Yeah.
While you were like studying even like the theater and acting in Boston, did you end up in one of those little underground improv places? Because I know they're hidden all over Boston.
I have been. I was not a part of one
Uh,
myself, but yes, I have been. Those are so fun. I was a part of some improv groups while I was on like in Harvard sort of bubble. And
yeah.
I think improv is the most valuable skill to have as an actor, truly. Whether it's improv comedy, you should always study through improv comedy because I think comedy is so much harder than drama, truly. If you can do improv comedy, I think everything else becomes easy, right? It's
Mm,
such a good base. But I was a part of a group called the Hasty Pudding Theatricals on Harvard's campus, which for about 200 years, it's like this uh, drag, slightly improv uh, musical that they put on every year. And for 200 years, it was only men. And then finally, my senior year, they let women on the cast. So it was pretty cool to be a part of that my senior year. I finally squeezed onto the cast, and now you know they let women on every year now, thank God. But um, yeah, it was a really cool experience, truly.
it's amazing. Now, so you've had a
Yeah.
little bit of taste, a little bit of everything. What's the goal now? Like, what's the one thing you want to accomplish in your life in the acting world?
Mm, the one thing. Oh, there's so many things. I want to have a career that spans genres. I want to play a lot of different kinds of characters and people, and I want to tell different stories. I think to me the coolest thing about being an actor is that you get to play somebody other than yourself.
Right.
Um, and Steph was definitely different from who I am as a person. Um, but it just allows you a chance to grow empathy for someone who is different from you, right? And so
Mm,
I hope that throughout my career, I get to tell stories that make an impact, that maybe touch people in the audience and teach them about what it means to be a human in a different way. But I also like I had so much fun doing Fallout. It's after this project, it's part of me just wants to do sci-fi and action films for the rest of my life because
yeah.
it's just at the scale of it is so
Mm.
fun. And I got really excited and nerdy about the games and and all of the lore attached. And so yeah, hopefully there's more of that in my future too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, they announced Fallout season
Yeah.
two. So that's
So
amazing.
excited. I can't wait to get back with the whole crew and tell some more crazy Fallout stories.
Let's jump into Fallout. Stephanie
Yeah.
Harper. Tell us a little bit about your audition and how were you like? Was it an audition? Were you approached for this? How did it go?
It was an audition. It was an audition way back early 2022. I had first heard about the project and I was like, please, can I audition for this project? My managers, they're amazing. They reached out to casting and at first they were like, oh, we're not so sure. She's right. And I said, please. And they were like, all right, fine. And so I sent in a tape. Um, and when I first read the script, which was attached to the whole packet, I I was like, I would give an arm or a leg to be a part of this show. It was like one of those things where I was instantly like obsessed with it. And I only ended up having to lose an eye in the end, which was
Right.
great. Pretty good deal. Uh, and the audition process, I had only received the audition for Steph originally was just one scene.
Okay.
And so I was pretty convinced it was just a one scene character. And I didn't care. I stayed up until 3 in the morning and I did the scene over and over and over and over. And it's actually the hallway scene where I'm walking down with Lucy and I'm talking about what my experience was like when I was, not to put it totally in an antiquated way, but like when we were consummating my marriage. And it's a sort of comedic scene. And I did it over and over and sent it in. And as I always do, whenever I submit the audition, I just forget about it because if you
Okay.
were to actually like hang on to all of these auditions, it's not good for your mental health. You have to
Right.
just let it go. But then I let it go, and I was on a trip in Italy when my managers called me and they said, "You got the part," and I freaked out. I was running around like a crazy American tourist, and they said, "And it's better news. It's actually a recurring character, and you're going to be
Mm.
seeing more of her than just one scene." And so it was better than I could have imagined. And meeting Jonah on that first day on set and shaking his hand, and he was like, "So we have a surprise for you." And I said, "Sure." He goes, "Well, so you're gonna lose an eye to a fork. How do you feel about that?" And I was like, "What a gift. This is the best character ever." She's like this. Steph is my like psycho housewife dream girl. Like
Mm.
she's like a 1950s, housewife, but kind of messed up and quirky and with an eye patch and sprays a machine gun. I mean, she's a little bit of everything, which has just been such a joy to play her. And I can't wait to bring her back in season 2.
Mm. So when you booked the part, have you played the games at all? Like I don't really play those type of games, but
Yeah.
the shows are great, obviously. Like I like watching the shows, but did you get a chance
Yeah.
to play the game just to see your character?
Yes.
What kind of research did you do?
So I tried to play the games. I'm not
Yeah.
very good at video games, so it was taking me way too long to get past certain levels. Um, I would play with I have two younger brothers, and so I
Okay.
earned like a lot of big sister points being in the show. And they would play with me and they would get so frustrated because I would accidentally press some button that would make us go back to the beginning of the level.
Yeah.
So instead, I ended up watching a lot of um, very good gamers play the games on YouTube,
Okay. Yeah.
um, which was so fun. I now understand why people watch the gameplay. It's like so fun to watch someone play it and know everything about the game and tell you about the ins and the outs. So that was most of my research. And there's no Steph character in the games, right? And the majority of the characters in the series are not spitting images of the game. And I think that's what's
Mhm.
so cool about it is we were able to capture the true essence of the games and add to the lore without taking away from anything that's already
Mhm.
happened, which I think
Mhm.
is really fun. But you get the dark comedy from the game, right? I was like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, by watching those gameplays, I understood the tone of the script and I knew a little bit more of what I needed. And then we have the best writers like Geneva and Graham. They're so funny and smart. And every time I'd get a new scene for Steph, I would just be like so excited. Good writing makes it easy.
And what's great about like this character too, it's like since they're not in the game, like you can like put your own little spin to it also.
Yeah.
How
Totally. I played stuff whenever we would be filming each scene. I feel like sometimes I would do a couple takes of different versions of her. And I was always so curious to see what the editors chose in the end. And I liked that they chose the takes of her, I think just sort of being bright, but just a little spooky, just a little bit
Mhm.
off. Because at the beginning I didn't know where she was going. I was getting the scripts episode by episode. So I really
Yeah.
didn't know who she was going to end up as in the end. And I still have a lot of questions about who she is, and I'll keep finding out more information as it comes, right? But
Mhm.
I always tried to at least play her a couple different ways whenever we'd be filming each scene, just so that they had options. Um, and I was really glad that they chose all of the spookiest versions of her because that's fun. That's really fun. Yeah.
Is there anything you would change about Stephanie if you could?
Oh, Hmm. That's such an interesting question. I don't know. Um, my first gut impulse would be to say that I hope I just want her to always be pregnant. Because I think when they told me that I was going to be having the baby, I was like, oh, great, a birth scene, like how hilarious. But then I was like, oh, but the bump is part of who she is, right? It's like
Mm,
some part of what's so funny about Steph is that she's this like motherly, cute little plump belly lady who, has something under the surface that you don't trust. And I felt like I was worried that once I would lose the belly, people would be less interested in the comedy of her.
mm,
And that's not the case, I don't think. But anything I would change about her, I hope I know nothing about season two, by the way. I hope that she gets a full villain track.
mm.
That's my hope. But I don't know. She could end up being redeemed. She could end up being best friends with Lucy again. Who knows, right? And I think that's what's so great about where they left her is that there's so much possibility. And I've really enjoyed reading fan theories online, and I can't confirm or deny any of them.
Right.
I don't know myself, so
I,
it's
I was
cool.
doing actually when you said the fans, I was actually doing some digging around to see what they're saying, and they love your character though. You
Yeah.
have like a big fan base when it comes to Stephanie Harper, which is great.
It's great. My
Yeah.
favorite comments are people being like, I love her, I love her. And then someone going, I hate her, I don't trust her. I'm like, good.
You're doing your job.
Good. That means I'm doing my job, right? If everyone is just like, oh, she's nice, like that's boring. That's not the kind of impact you want to leave. I love that people are intrigued by her and that there's some arguments back and forth over what her backstory is and who
Yeah.
she will be going forward. I mean, that's it's everything you could hope for. So, I'm really glad that I was able to tell her story. Yeah.
It's amazing. You mentioned Lucy. How would you describe like the Stephanie's bond with Lucy and like and their
Mm.
friendship
Mm.
throughout this first season?
It's interesting. The funny thing, we filmed those first scenes of the episode, which are me and Ella, um, you know, me and Lucy, or Steph and Lucy, Annabelle
Yeah.
and Ella, um, walking through the vault and preparing her for the wedding. And I truly do believe that their friendship is genuine. Um, I think when you live in a vault, you're incredibly close with those who you
Yeah.
live with, right? And everyone feels like family. Everyone pretty much is family, right? Um, and I would say that maybe nothing would supersede, if I had to guess, and this is just my guesses of stuff, right? Because there's so much I still need to know about her. I would guess that her loyalty to the vault and the mission is perhaps stronger than her friendship
Mm,
with Lucy. But I hope, as Annabelle, that it's the reverse. I hope that her relationship with Lucy in some ways is stronger, or
yeah.
you know, there's just two different ways Steph could go, and if it's good guy Steph, then I hope then it's a reuniting with Lucy.
Mm.
Um, and if it's bad guy Steph, I mean, who knows?
We'll see, right?
We'll
There's
see.
also with Stephanie, I've noticed, like you had there's some pivotal moments in her storyline and emotions about losing her husband. Tell us tell us a little about like those scenes. Like how did you get into those scenes?
Oh, well, so the scene where I'm holding my dead husband in my arms and then I snap, and then it proceeds into the fork and the machine gun and all of that. Um, I think she is very territorial.
Hmm.
I think Steph likes for things to go the way that they should go. And losing her husband is not a part of the plan. Do I think she's deeply in love with Bert? Maybe not. But I do know that she felt for him and she valued what he brought to her in the vault, which was security, which was a baby, which was a partner. And I think part of why she then in episode 4 say dresses up Chet in her dead husband's clothes and claims him is because she craves that security. And I think she craves the status and the the ability for her to have someone to co-parent with too.
Mm,
Something that I think is so funny is in the subsequent episodes, you very rarely see Steph holding her own baby.
mm,
Very often it's Chet holding her baby. And I think she's sort of like a, instead of a hold my bear, it's hold my baby because she's got other things to do. She's now, spoiler, elected right overseer of 32 and she understands that like she needs to maintain that status. And I think Chet is a part of that.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Right. I mean, how much do you really love your husband if a day after you're then, you know,
Mm.
going after some other guy? I think
Right, right.
so much of it is I don't think she's unfeeling, but I think she is very smart and she is very aware of her positionality within the vault.
Mm. Speaking of the vault, I was told to ask you, I didn't want to forget this.
Yeah.
Was it what kind of a vault was it for the set that you guys were in? Was it actually like an actual vault or what was it?
Yes. I mean, people don't even believe me when I tell them how much of this set is practical effects. Like they truly did build us a vault.
Wow.
Um, and the amount of detail that went into um the details of the vault, like they would spritz pipes at exactly the right moment to meet, like so they would drip at the
Right.
exact right times and the vault door that like pops out and then wheels that big gear, it actually does that. That is not like, something that they edited in. Someone had to engineer a giant vault door that wheels out and has to look and feel authentic. And it's so hard to do that. And so, I mean, everyone on the set and prop and costume design team like made it so easy for us because
Mm.
I wasn't in front of a green screen almost ever. I was
Wow.
always in the setting where Stephanie was. And as an actor, that is a huge gift and not one that you should ever like take for granted.
So what do you think was like the biggest challenge for you filming this series?
Mm. Something that I really learned a lot of while I was filming was camera angles. I mean,
Okay.
I'm newer in my career and you know, when you're shooting a scene for 6+ hours, at the beginning of a scene, I mean, it's really hard to be an actor, do your scene, make sure that you're present and that you're listening to your scene partner and being, making sure you're timing all of the emotional moments correctly and also being aware that there are cameras here and here. And if you turn your face just slightly, the light will catch you. If you turn it down slightly, you're out of your lighting, you look kind of funny. So there's so many things to think about. So I think the hardest thing for me was multitasking, especially at the beginning, was allowing my brain to both focus on the action of the scene and understand where cameras are. But I was really thankful for one of our camera operators, Soup. He and I became close and we started out just he would always find a funny way to include the belly in a shot. So he'd always be like, "Hey Annabelle, like come here, like just stick the pregnant belly just ever so slightly over here." And he would always start a scene on the belly and then pan out and even then, and then it developed into, "Hey Annabelle," he'd be like from behind the camera, he'd just go like that, and I'd be like this, and he'd be like, "Yes." And then I
Awesome.
started to understand where cameras were and how to best work them because
Mm,
they're your audience. There's no one like, on set being like, oh, like, ha ha ha, like laughing at your joke in the middle of the scene. Um, so you have to use your camera as part of your scene partner as well. It's
mm.
great. Yeah.
How
It's
long did
hard.
it take you to get used to like with the eye patch too?
Oh my gosh. That I would say the second thing is just having an eye patch. I had no depth perception when they asked me like, "Hey, so you're going to have an eye patch. Do you care which eye?" And I was trying to be like easy. And I said, "No, I don't care. Whatever eye you want to fork, let's do it." And I very quickly realized I have a dominant eye. It is my right eye, and it is the eye that is covered the entire season. So
Uh,
I
now you're
can't
stuck
I
with it.
can't see anything. The first scene that I did with it, I was like accidentally, it was with Moises Arias, and I was accidentally like talking like really close to him, and they're like, hey Annabelle, like this is becoming a very different kind of scene. Do you want to just back up a little bit? And I was like, oh, I had no idea because my depth perception was way off. But I got used to it. And the
Mm,
costume team kept working with me, and there's actually multiple iterations of the eye patch that we went through. Because we wanted to be able to have it bubble out just enough so that I could keep my eye open underneath it, so
okay.
that I didn't have to like close one eye and try to talk like this because it does weird things to your face. So after a while, I was able to just have both eyes open. The patch would cover the whole eye. I could blink.
Mm.
But yeah, very disorienting. I feel like I need to do some eye patch training again before season 2 to get used to it. It's weird. It's totally
How
weird.
many months were you on set for this season?
On and off for about 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long shoot, but we took some breaks, and um I wasn't on set every day, and but it was so fun because it was a long shoot, but we all got really close. And so um the whole team, we're all like good friends, and it's
It's
really, really,
awesome.
really lovely. Yeah.
When's have they told you when you're starting season 2 filming?
I haven't. I won't know. I won't know for a little while, I don't think, but I know that they're making preparations for it. So
Right.
hope that day is soon for all of our sakes. I would love to go back to work. Um, and I know people would love to see a season 2 sometime soon. So hopefully.
So what's next for you now? Now that you've done with this, do you have anything coming up or that you're allowed to
Yeah.
tell us about?
Yeah. Right now I am just back to auditioning. So I'm looking for my next project. I during the strike, the SAG after strike, I received a waiver to do a micro budget independent film with some of my friends from college,
Okay.
and we made it, and it was great. And it actually received a Tribeca premiere, so we're gonna
Oh,
be premiering a film called Rent Free at the Tribeca Film Festival. I think it premieres on July, oh no, June 8th or something. So it'll be really exciting to see that come out. And then I'm just hoping that there's another exciting project on the horizon soon.
amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
It's great. Annabelle, how can now the listeners, the viewers find you on social media, keep up with you for season 2? And I know you've been posting pictures of Fallout throughout the days.
Yeah. Um, you can find me on Instagram. I'm just an Instagram girly. You can't really find me anywhere else. I find social media overwhelming, but you can find me on social media. Instagram, it's Annabel O'Hagan, just spelled the way my name is spelled. You can find me there, and then I'm on IMDb too. But yeah,
Okay, amazing. Annabelle, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. Hopefully we see a season. Well, we are going to see a season 2. So let's get you back
yeah,
on and continue on. Hopefully
would
the
love it.
journey of Stephanie continues.
Yes, I hope so too. It was so nice chatting with you. Thank you
You
so much
too.
for having me on the show.